Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am doing the fasting thing still, and usually it doesn't bother me, but for some reason on this Saturday morning, the fasting thing is bothering me. It's about 9:30 now, and I am really hungry. I would love to go eat, but I've worked my way. I was getting headaches when I first started this because I tried to do the fasting from 12 to 8 at night. And what happened was I started getting these terrible headaches, and I learned real quick that I had to work my way into it because my blood sugar levels were being affected. And so I have worked my way successfully back up from about 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock now, and I'm now eating from 11 to 8 at night. After that, I'm going to just go maybe to 11:15, 11:30, and then get back to 12. And I'm hoping that my body will be able to do it then. But this morning I'm hungry. Okay, first from the crypto utility guy. He sent me this. Now, this is very interesting right here. Now, on the surface, this looks extremely ruthless. What this is about is this is the QuadriGaCoin, this QuadrigaCX. We talked about this a few months ago. And as I recall, the owner of the Quadriga exchange, who was a guy, he supposedly, quote, died. But what a lot of people, and he died in apparently he was the only one at this entire exchange that was in charge of the private keys. And so everybody was supposed to believe that this guy died and the private keys died with him to all of the digital assets that were on his exchange. Well, so when you read an article like this, if you don't know that background, you could think, well, what they're doing here is pretty ruthless. His attorneys or the attorneys for the creditors are literally getting the people to exhume his body because they don't believe he's dead. So and I think that his widow, and the premise here is that how could his widow, first of all, what guy's going to run the exchange and not have more than one person or have a system in place for private keys? And then if that as ridiculous as that is, the wife, they're inferring, I guess, that the wife would almost have to be involved. Well, you can see how if you're one of the victims of this exchange, at a minimum, there's a lawsuit because of that. But anyway, the point is that they are literally they don't believe he's dead. And so they're saying, you exhume the body, let's see it. So as ruthless as that is, what I would say to that is, if I were the victims, you're in a position where you have to be that. When you've been wronged like that, you have to get your lawyers to be that ruthless. And I would have to say I would do the same thing. My lawyers would be exactly that ruthless if I had been wronged like that. So anyway, it's a terrible situation, but I don't think the creditors have much of a choice. And sometimes that's the way things work out. You just don't have a choice. Okay, and then there was this from Salt Lending. We've added, and this is also from the crypto utility guy. We've added XRP as our latest collateral type for crypto-backed loan. Check out our website to see how you can utilize XRP with Salt. And this is for crypto collateralized XRP, and this is where all of this is going, folks. Collateralized XRP. And that's, I think most of us, when things actually happen, most of us are going to be put in a situation where we want to sell and incur taxes and all that on at least that initial sell. But I think there's also a lot of us, myself included, that probably will never sell their XRP and will collateralize it with something like this, or Kava Labs, like Brad Combs has talked about, and we'll end up collateralizing it and living off of that. so that you don't incur the taxes. And I'm sure that'll be talked about a lot more in the coming years. Brian Melancholy XRP. Whoa, this is incredible. XRP. Now this is a video, and I think it's an older video from Chris Larson, but it's interesting. He and this is from Jack the Rippler at Ripple XRP. Give him a follow. Cough Swift, Cough Visa, Cough or Earthport. Chris Larson basically is mentioning all these things, and he's mentioning them in conjunction with settlement and what Ripple's working on. And so it's almost like he's saying this is all going to work together. But it's a video, if you've never seen it, it's worth going and looking at. And this I love from Mickey B. Fresh. Who wouldn't want a guy like Michael? I showed you this yesterday, by the way. Okay. And he says, who wouldn't want a guy like Michael Arrington on your side? Someone that has the brazen personality to wear an XRP shirt and outspokenly states on a panel conference of cyberpunk and Bitcoin maxis that XRP and Ripple are the best, as well as saying XRP is the most decentralized. Well, the thing is that many times, you know, and Mickey B. Fresh is so right here. There are many times, and you young people that are listening to me, there are many times where just because you're the one that's telling the truth does not mean that you won't be drowned out by people that are trying to tell something that's not the truth. That's been going on with these Bitcoin maxis for years. They're trying to say one thing, and actually in politics, it's an actual tactic. Some of the political parties, they have actual books that have been written, and one of them is a guy named Saul Alinsky wrote a book a long time ago, and the book was about it. In the book, it basically says what you're supposed to do is you create your enemy as a target, and then once you have the target, you accuse the enemy of what you're doing. In other words, if you're stealing money or you're doing whatever, you accuse the enemy of that, and then you stay on offense and keep accusing them and get all of your people to accuse them. And then before you know it, the good guy looks like the bad guy. And that's why you need people like Michael Arrington. And that's exactly kind of what he's saying here. Michael Arrington is a guy, he's a gunslinger. He's the guy that tells the truth and doesn't care what you think of the truth because it's the truth. And those are the kind of people you do want on your team. And next, Michael at VAL5 links. Monero rejects FinCEN identification guidelines. Now, I wanted to show you all this just to give you another. Every once in a while, I give a warning about some of these privacy currencies or privacy digital assets, and Monero is the biggest one, I think. Hey, I'm all for privacy digital assets, but I don't own any, and the reason is they scare me. Digital assets, the industry as a whole, digital assets is a risky business. It's a risky industry. That's why the returns can be so great. If you didn't have the high risk, you wouldn't have the high potential returns. Well, with privacy coins, you have the worst of risks, and that is that they are on the wrong side of the governments of the world. And they've got that one risk that I don't want any part of, and that's why I don't own them, and that is that being banned off of exchanges. And I don't care what anybody says about how digital assets there's gonna be a revolution, and it's just gonna take everything over, and we're gonna get rid of banks and governments. Okay, well then before you talk about that, you need to figure out the off ramps, because that's the one. Those off ramps is the one area where governments will always control this stuff. How are you going to get your money out? And that's the problem here. And for anybody that you hear talking about revolution and all that, whatever you invest in needs to be on the good side of governments. That's just the way life works. And it'll always be the way life works. There's always going to be the powers that be. And so don't try to get on the other side of it. Michael at VAL5 links. Facebook's Libra has updated its white paper and decided to remove the dividends that were meant to be paid out to early investors in the project. I believe from reading this, I believe that Libra and Facebook have gotten with the politicians, and they've gotten their checklist. That's what I see when I see this, and I don't have any evidence of that. But I believe they've gotten their checklist, and they're working their checklist, and they're doing what they have to do to be in compliance so that they're not catching all the heat that they initially caught. Okay, Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29. Ian Northing on its way. Wait for it. When China and other big countries launch cryptocurrencies, it will kick off a global revolution. Now, I know that I see, out in digital asset land in the XRP community, we see a lot of people getting frustrated with prices and this is never going to happen, that kind of feeling. Well, I'm exactly the opposite because what I'm seeing and what I'm remembering is back in 2013-14 when I got in this, you didn't know when you woke up one morning if your investment was going to be gone because the governments of the world just declared those digital assets illegal and that you couldn't even own them. Now we're talking about not if, we're talking about when an actual country, China, starts to release their digital asset. This is the ultimate on-ramp into the system for other digital assets and other liquidity and other fiat currencies. It's all going to start flowing into this system, and that is exciting. And then there was this from Michelle Vandenberg, sent me this. If the U.S., and this is interesting too, this is a reply to this article here, but Hodala guy, if the U.S. does not get its act together and fully digitize the dollar, we run the risk of letting China become the digital reserve currency of the world. Max Levchin, PayPal co-founder and a firm CEO, the race. This is exactly right. But here's the thing. I know that we talk a lot about how the U.S. is behind and all that. Are they really behind, or is this all planned? Do they have it going on? I really, in the back of my mind, think that the United States might be a lot more up to speed than even we've been talking about over the last year or so. That's what I'm really starting to feel more as we go along. Now, I'm not involved in this in any way. This is from XRP Platypus. I just like the idea. Um, he's got this idea for everyone to go to call in to CNBC's show, the Jim Cramer's show, Mad Money on CNBC. You can call in and ask him about what he thinks about certain stocks. Well, XRP Platypus has got this idea to try to get everybody to call in and ask about MoneyGram stock and ask if it's a buy, considering that it utilizes the cryptocurrency XRP for cross-border settlement. Now, I like that. I think that's a great idea. Again, I don't know anything, the giveaway and all of that stuff. I'm not involved in this. That's between you and XRP Platypus. But I think he's got a great idea here. So why not? This is again, here's a spoof, right? This is XRP. The Standard is doing another one of his spoof coil blogs, which I thought was hilarious. Breaking news: congratulations to China, and he's got his coil blog here. China wins big at the 2019 Bitcoin Awards, and he's pretending like there's these Bitcoin awards, and he says this is China's leader. We couldn't be happier, said Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, President of the People's Republic of China, and the Chairman of the Central Military Commission. We work very hard to provide dirt cheap, filthy power that allows large mining warehouses to continue to pursue their pointless, environment-destroying proof-of-work calculations. This is truly an honor. So once again, I think that XRP the Standard Productions has hit gold here. I love what he's doing. I think that this space needs a sense of humor. And I think everybody just needs to understand that he's doing a parody here and it's funny. And then XRP James, the digital asset investor channel official former Navy SEAL. He has created the first XRP fishing pole. Or maybe he bought that. I don't know if he made it or he bought it, but it's got an X design. He told me that it was the first. And then finally, remember what I've told you for the last 2 years? Before this is over, you will be wrapped in digital asset advertising. And it will happen. It's going to happen. It's happening right now. And here's one good example of it. XRP on the guy's shirt. And if you think it's not crypto, look right there. Cryptos. They are referring to XRP. This is Matthew Edgar, England. I'm not sure what the exact name is of his team there, but it looks like one of the football teams over there in Europe. Also, before I forget, you can join the Patreon. I've got a Patreon group in the description of my videos. For the first 500 people, we're at about 350 now. It's like really coming on strong because we're providing so much great content. Now, I do my 2 videos for free every day, like I've always done. That's what I said I would do from the beginning. Brad Combs, who's involved with me on it, he does his videos for free every day, like he always has, and will continue to do those. Mr. B does his videos every day, like he has been doing, and he will continue to do. But in addition to that, we've got additional content in our Patreon group. In fact, this Patreon group is coming on strong, and it's doing very well because we are delivering on the content that we said we would, and we're actually giving more than we said we would. And so we're wanting to under promise and over deliver. That's kind of how we're running the thing. But it's you can get it. The first 500 can get in for $3.99, and after that, it's only $4.99. And if you look around, nobody's providing what we're providing in terms of value in a Patreon group. Just look at it. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family to go check out that Patreon group because it's really cool. And so, there's some really smart people in there, and you can really learn a lot. And we're going to be talking, by the way, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. Mainly, of course, Ripple and XRP, but it'll be other people in digital assets, other companies, all kinds of different things going on. It's really going to be exciting. Is exciting right now. Thank you for listening.